Hi guys, Jen here with Mike's Camera. I'm here with Brandon Burt from Sony. He's here to tell us all about the Sony cameras and lenses. We're very excited. So thank you for doing this with us, Brandon. Can you describe the lineup of the cameras that you offer?
Sony cameras, there's a lot of them, and if you're new to buying a camera, there can be a lot of different models with some pretty similar names. Sony has a naming scheme that once you learn it, it's pretty easy to figure out where the camera kind of stacks up, but I'll explain it right now. We have like our starter cameras, which is our Sony ZV lineup. That is a great option for people looking to kind of get into the system. They're typically less expensive than our full-size Alpha camera counterparts, but they do amazing camera work, and they come in two different flavors. Some are point-and-shoot style cameras where the entire lens and body is one design. The other is interchangeable lenses on that one, so you have a choice in there. Moving up from there, you have our Alpha 6000 lineup, which prior was the Alpha 5000 lineup. These are our crop sensor or APS-C format cameras. These are all interchangeable lenses. You can use any of Sony's 81 lenses on these cameras, but they are APS-C. So if you're looking for a smaller, more compact camera that comes at a lower cost compared to the full-frame Alpha cameras, this is where you're going to want to be looking at. The Alpha 6700 is the current model, and it is a fantastic option with an in-body stabilizer, a 26 megapixel APS-C sensor, 4K video up to 120 frames per second, the works, in something that is really small and compact. Moving up from there, you have like the full-size Alpha cameras. This will be like the Alpha 7, Alpha 9, or Alpha 1. Any of those numbers mean it's a full-frame camera. So this is going to be on that step up in sensor size, better low-light performance, better resolution. The Alpha 7 is going to be the base kind of middle hybrid option. This is your 4K 60 frames per second, 33 megapixel full frame, right? Great for stills, great for video, great for people that need to swap between both options. From there, you have the A7R series, which right now the current model is the A7R5. That is a beautiful camera. It's a 61 megapixel sensor. It's also capable of doing 8K video. It's a beast, and a lot of like landscape, portrait photographers, astrophotographers, they love that camera for the high resolution. On the flip side of that, you have our A7S series, which is a lower megapixel full frame. It's 12 megapixel, but that sensor is, the A7S stands for sensitivity. That sensor, each and every pixel is so big, pulls in so much light, and you can shoot at really high ISOs and still have incredible high gain performance, which is something that you can't really get out of really any other brand with an interchangeable lens like that outside of going to like the high-end cinema stuff. So the A7S III is an incredible option for people looking for good low light, good video capability. And then at the very top of our lineup is that Alpha 1. That's going to be kind of a combination of the low light performance, you also have the high resolution, and then you have the speed of our Alpha 9 series, which is the speed focus cameras. The Alpha 9 Mark II was a 30 frames per second shooter. The Alpha 9 Mark III is our new global shutter 120 frames per second shooter. That thing's a monster. I love it. It is fantastic to shoot for sports and wildlife, things like that. And then yeah, the Alpha 1 kind of takes every single good aspect of everything and makes one big flagship camera that can pretty much do anything you throw at it. It's got good low light performance. It's a 50 megapixel sensor, and it shoots at 30 frames per second, so you have that speed that the other cameras really just don't have, except for the A9. So that's kind of the whole lineup. The subset that's become really popular now is the A7C series, which is a compact version of those A7 cameras we were talking about. Right now, the current models are the A7C Mark II and the A7CR. Those two cameras have a 33 megapixel and a 61 megapixel sensor respectively. That A7CR is essentially an A7R5 cut down to a smaller body that resembles our APS-C cameras. So if you want the size of APS-C but the performance of the high end, you have those options there.
What camera would you recommend for somebody who's looking into getting into making content creation?
If you're looking to start out with content creation, especially with like a YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever's the popular one that you're trying to go after, the Sony ZV series is a really great place to start. You have a lot of options that you can choose from. You have small fixed lens bodies that do 4K video that can be held vertical or horizontal for whatever kind of footage you're trying to get. It'll certainly outperform a smartphone or anything like that and give you good quality with great autofocus that Sony's known for in something that's really small and compact that doesn't really take up a whole lot of space. And then in that lineup, we also have some nice grips that you can use to kind of flip how the camera is oriented. And that really does help with trying to get all the shots you're trying to look for in something that's really small. And then moving up, you have our interchangeable lens ZV cameras, like the ZV-E10 Mark II, which is my base recommendation for anyone looking to get into the Sony system. The ZV-E10 Mark II does 4K video at 60 frames per second. It has our AI recognition autofocus inside of it, so it's incredibly quick with trying to capture autofocus and getting your eye in focus, or anyone that you're trying to shoot. And it allows you to shoot in Sony S-Log, which, if you're new to that, is a flat color profile for video that allows you to pull out color in post when you're editing in, let's say, Final Cut or Adobe Premiere Pro, and you can really fine-tune the exact look that you're looking for as the artist.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. So say somebody is just wanting to pursue photography as like a full-time income, but they're not officially a professional yet, but they're like looking to, branch into like weddings, sports, portraits, that type of thing. What gear would you recommend to that person?
Well, if you're looking to get into some pro level stuff, the base I would look at would be the Sony a7 IV. That is an incredibly popular camera, especially for wedding photographers, videographers, people looking to do sports, people looking to do landscape photography. It's a great hybrid option that comes at a relatively low price in our lineup that gives you a good approximation of every other camera that we have, right? It's kind of that hybrid middle point. It's a 33 megapixel camera, so you have great resolution for portraiture, landscape, things of that nature, but you also have a 10 frames per second shooting speed, which is fast enough for doing sports, and you have great video capability, being able to do 4K video at up to 60 frames per second. So if you're looking to do stills, if you're looking to get into content creation, if you're looking to get into landscape photography, that is an excellent starting point.
Awesome, thank you for that. Could we talk maybe more about the lenses? I know that you offer a variety of lenses, which is one of the things I love about Sony. Like we've got, low numbers, 10 to 20, like low wide angle numbers. We got primes, we got zooms, we got the G series. Like, can you just give me a breakdown of, small, standard, zoom? Like what lenses do you recommend?
Yeah, so Sony has probably one of the most varied lens lineups on the market. And as of now, recording this video with you, we have 81 lenses available in our lineup, which is a lot of lenses to keep track of as a Sony rep. But best thing about our lineup is our Sony G Master lenses. They are just incredibly sharp, incredibly lightweight, but the performance that they put out is spectacular. You'll never see someone disappointed in buying a G Master lens. It's just, they're just fantastic. But they are on the top of our lineup. Sony has another subset called the G series, so not the GM, but the G series. Those are still going to be optically kind of close to the G Masters, but above some of our like base tier stuff, which we don't have as much of. And in that lineup, like you were saying, we have wide angles, we have primes, we have telephotos that go all the way up to 800 millimeter now. I mean, it's a really varied lineup. So no matter what your budget is, and no matter what focal length you're looking for, there's some kind of lens that'll fit for you. As I was saying, Sony has so many lens options that you can go for. So no matter what kind of photographer you are, whether you're a portrait photographer, wide angle, landscape photographer, sports photographer looking for a long telephoto or like a 70 to 200, or a birder looking for that 400 to 800 millimeter lens that Sony just released, there's something out there for you at every budget and every focal length, and it's a fantastic system to be in.
Well, thank you so much for showing us or talking about the lineup, the amazing cameras and lenses that you guys offer. You guys recently announced a new camera, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, the FX2. Would you mind telling us a little bit about this new release?
Yeah, gladly. I'm actually really excited for this one. For someone looking to get into like high-end video production that doesn't necessarily have the budget to go to something like our Sony FX3, which is a legendary film camera, cinema camera. Anything from YouTubers to full-blown Hollywood productions have used the Sony FX3 on their sets. So having something that's a little less expensive, yes, doesn't have the same feature set that that legendary camera has, but something that is a bit more approachable, that offers some new features as well, is really great to have in the lineup, especially because FX3, the next step down is our FX30, which is a crop sensor cinema camera. You still get the cooling fan, you still get that aspect of it, which is great. You still get 4K video at 120 frames per second down there, which is really nice if you want to do slow-mo stuff. But this FX2 that we just announced slots right there in the middle for someone that doesn't quite have the FX3 budget, but wants something full frame that the FX30 cannot offer. So the FX2 is a 33 megapixel BSI sensor, so you still get the great low light performance. Its dual native ISO is 800 and 4000, so better than the FX30, but not quite to where the FX3 was. Like I said, this camera kind of slots right in the middle of them. You are getting the cooling fan. You are getting Sony's AI recognition chip for autofocus, so that is something that's not found on the A7 IV or the FX3 or the FX30. So you're actually going to have an increased autofocus performance on something that can also do 4K video at 60 frames per second, and it has that awesome dual native ISO performance that the FX3 is known for, but in a smaller capacity on the FX2. It also is the first Sony cinema camera to have a built-in adjustable viewfinder, so whether you like to shoot like this, or if you want to shoot down low, you can still put your eye right into that viewfinder. It has a nice big eye cup on it. I wish I had one to show you, but there's not many of them in the US yet. That'll be in July or August. I'll have some and I'll bring in the Mike's camera to show off.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you for telling us. Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions I got, but you guys watching this video, if you have any specific Sony questions, drop them in the comments below and I will get them to Brandon and see if we can answer your questions. But Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And we really enjoy having you as our Sony rep for Mike's camera. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Hey, you're very welcome, and thank you for having me. I love Mike's camera, and I'm happy to help out wherever I can. I'll answer any questions you got, so drop them in the comments.
Thanks for watching, guys.